Ba-da-da-da-da-da. Dungeons and Dopamine.
Ta-da! Hi, welcome to episode 82 of Dungeons and Dopamine. I'm Bree.
I'm Jess.
And I always say the episode number before I get to this part, and then I don't know what to say.
We are here for your ear.
You already used that.
I know, it's my new slogan.
Here for your ear.
Welcome. We're here to give you just enough information to be dangerous.
Yes.
You're practically an expert.
Ooh, I like that.
I had to use AI.
Thank goodness for AI.
Yeah, so actually one little known fact is we were going to name this podcast Just Enough to Be Dangerous because it's the idea. We're just giving you a little bit of information.
Bite-sized tidbits of information.
Yes, enough for your ADHD to be happy and content. And I don't know about you, but in conversation, I have so many little facts to share with people now. I'll hear someone talking about, like the Winchester Mansion. And I have so much to say and so much interesting stuff to say.
I'm finding that as well.
Yeah.
But between that and the number of jobs I've had, I do sometimes feel like I'm becoming one of those people.
Actually,
I went to a bonfire with a new friend, with a bunch of people I had never met before. Then every time a subject came up, I'd be like, well, when I worked in OB-GYN, I learned blah, 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 blah.
my coworkers know how much I love the Denver airport.
Every topic we talk about becomes one of those topics.
Yes.
Like now I love the Denver airport.
And that's why the
Bermuda Triangle.
Yes.
And the Titanic.
The Michigan Bermuda Triangle. So if anybody was ever talking about it, did you know there's one in Michigan?
Did you know there's a shipwreck in Lake Superior with an old man named Old Whitey or
Old
Grandpa?
Whitey?
And he follows you around and he is just preserved there because the water is so cold.
It's amazing. So
We're
we
like
were
the
going
smartest
to do that.
people we know.
Yeah. Yeah.
As long as it's only about random topics.
Quick, simple facts that I don't have to expand on. Just enough to get the conversation rolling.
Just enough to be dangerous.
Doesn't sound as cool as Just Enough to Be Dangerous, but it turns out there's actually a very successful podcast out there called Just Enough to Be Dangerous.
And we didn't want to compete with that.
Oh, no. We don't have the money
there's
to
another
compete with
Dungeons and Dopamine. We're just
True.
hoping
They
they never
stopped
noticed.
posting.
Oh, did they?
Yeah.
That's sad.
They were doing a actual Dungeons and Dragons game.
Oh, okay.
And I think it ended, or as most adult Dungeons and Dragon games do, they couldn't get together anymore.
Fizzled out.
I don't know why that came up, but it did. Now you know. I've been reusing it in our TikTok, which y'all should check out our TikTok.
Bree's face is even going to be on there soon,
Yeah.
now that I don't have to go be at the township every day.
That's right. And we've just been sharing rehashing some old fun facts, and eventually I'll figure out something else to do, but for now, this is going fine.
For now, that's what you get.
I have nothing else to say. Also, I'm out of ideas for drawings. I'm out of words to say.
Jessica's having a really rough day.
This is an existential crisis. I told my boss I talked too much today, which is just a fact. She wasn't surprised.
Which isn't new. Wasn't unknown before.
It is almost Thanksgiving for us.
It is.
Thanksgiving is over for this episode.
Are you hosting Thanksgiving this year?
Well, yeah, I host every year. But
you guys go simple, right?
It's my parents, my great grandpa. It's Carly's great grandpa. My grandpa comes over. He's 93. He's a great grandpa like many times over. I think he's a great grandpa at this point.
He is a great grandpa.
He is great grandpa. He is gonna stop over. My nephew might come with his girlfriend, or he might just come by himself, and we eat. My dad makes the turkey. I make the sides. It's basic turkey food, and like. My green bean casserole half comes from cans and stuff. I mean, we don't go fancy, but all tastes delicious to me.
Yay.
And then we play Jackbox games.
Oh, that's right.
And that is our night. And it's amazing. We order like 5 pies.
We are doing brunch at Zach's parents' house.
Oh, nice.
We do chicken and waffles. And then we invited my parents, just Dad and Alice and my mom, over to our house in the afternoon. to watch the rest of the football game and so we're going to have a turkey and mashed potatoes and Brussels sprouts and apple crisp.
Sounds amazing.
It's going to be very relaxed. I will probably wear pajamas. It's going to be great.
The other thing that I'm really excited about this year is that on Black Friday, occasionally we've done things. A couple years ago, we had an entire day of D&D. We went out for lunch. This year it's not going to work out, but Ryan and I decided that we are going to sit on the couch and play Destiny 2 together all day.
That sounds so amazing.
It's going to be incredible. We purchased a one of those party platters, charcuterie type things. A giant adult Lunchable, and then prosciutto wrapped cheese. But yeah, that's our Black Friday plans, is to just literally play a video game that we really enjoy together. And if we get bored, or sometimes I get really mad when I don't do well on video games.
What?
I'm like a 12-year-old boy. I don't break holes in the walls, though.
Well, that's good.
I have to pay to fix them if I do. I only do that when I'm taking down backslash.
That wall deserved it.
It had it coming. Look, I didn't think the thing would go through 2 sets of wall.
Right.
Ryan,
and tile.
I must have hit it so hard. So for some backstory, I was taking down this horrible backsplash.
Your whole kitchen was covered in
how
tile.
awful it was. We were the 4 of us took hours to get it off of my island.
Oh my goodness.
So when I went to take it off the wall, I hit it with a crowbar, and the crowbar went through the tile, went through the wall, and then went through the wall behind it into my living room.
And would have killed somebody if they had been sitting on the couch in the living room.
Yeah. But that was Ryan's favorite thing for a while, is to walk people in the living room and be like, look what Jessica did. She's been decorating. I put a pillow over it sometimes.
I have a very interesting topic that was suggested to me by Connor today.
Oh, all right.
It is carnivorous plants.
Oh, good job, Connor.
Right?
I thought it was going to be dinosaurs.
Nope, we're past the dinosaur phase. We are into plants that eat things.
A little bit sad that it wasn't dinosaurs. Thanks a lot, Connor.
Thanks for reminding Aunt Jessica that you're growing up.
Nothing. Yeah.
So what do you think of when you think of carnivorous plants?
So I think of, obviously, Venus flytrap immediately. I think of, and then when I think of Mario.
Oh, okay. Yep, with the piranha plants.
Yep. And then I also think of those ones that get the little nubbies of acid or whatever they have on them, and they eat the bugs.
Yes, I'm going to talk about those. Good job. I didn't even know those existed until today.
I ended up on carnivorous plant talk a time or two. I don't know what led me there.
That does not surprise me.
And feed me, Seymour. Of course.
That was my other one. It's always either Venus flytraps or Little Shop of Horrors.
Yes.
As a side note, Little Shop of Horrors is my current favorite casino arcade game. Slot machine game.
Okay. I was like, casinos have arcade games?
I mean, it would be way better if they did.
Right? That's why we go to Dave & Buster's.
Right. So that is, again, pretty much the extent of my carnivorous plant knowledge as well.
That surprises me.
I know. And now I'm ready to buy a couple. I'm very excited about it. I have in the past bought a Venus flytrap from Aldi.
Same. Not from Aldi, but same.
And it died, which I now know is because I should have been watering it with distilled water or even rainwater.
Oh.
And I'll get into why in just a minute. So, carnivorous plants are plants that derive some or most of their nutrients from trapping and consuming animals or protozoans, typically insects, though occasionally even small mammals and birds.
I'm sorry for the look I just gave you, but you said protozoans, and I thought of protozoa.
From Xenon?
Zoom, zoom, zoom.
That's actually why I wore my Zoom sweatshirt today.
Duh.
Because every time I wrote protozoan, I thought of the same thing.
Can you please get a, I'm sure you can get it off of Etsy, a protozoa, iron-on patch, and put it on the back of that shirt?
Yes. I thought you were going to tell me to get, a cardboard cutout of his face.
That's the only way I'll do this with you anymore.
Gesturing to your face.
his face. Oh, I punched the mic. Sorry, peeps.
I just got Jessica very excited about protozoa.
He was so
hot. Who was that? He had an accent too. Oh, it was so
Australian?
good. I think so. So carnivorous plants do still require photosynthesis, but essentially these plants have evolved or adapted to grow in areas that are waterlogged and sunny, but very low on nutrients and soil. So essentially they have evolved to become plants that eat animals or insects and protozoans to get the nutrients that they don't have because they don't grow in soil, which I think is very interesting. From what I read, science pretty much believes that these are all evolution plants. Like none of them started out as plants that required meat to survive. They all started out as plants, normal everyday plants that then evolved to find their nutrient sources this way. Carnivorous plants exist on every continent except Antarctica and were observed way back in 1875 by Charles Darwin. Something I did not expect is most of the research on carnivorous plants talks a lot about their evolution and how they've evolved into like different species and different plants.
Okay, sure.
Did you find anything good about protozoa? Good.
His name is Philip Rhys Chaudhary, or Rees, depending on how. John Rhys Davies is John Rhys, not John Rees. Rees and.
Ugh.
Anyway, I'm very sorry. So, John Rhys Davies, Philip Rhys Chaudhary. He was born in South London. He's the second of 3 sons. He graduated from Westminster College and spent a year living and working in Paris. I don't know how old he is because it just says that he was born June 14th.
Ooh, we almost have the same birthday.
I was going to say it. You and Brandon do.
Mm-hmm.
I love that.
We're basically twins.
Right?
Anyway, back to carnivorous plants. That was a great interlude in the middle of here. There are an estimated 583 species of plants that are considered carnivorous.
1974.
Okay, so he is a bit older than me.
And I think he's married.
The number of carnivorous plants does increase by about 3 per year since 2020. Since 2000.
Different
species.
Oh, wow.
Yeah.
By 3 every...
3 per year since the year 2000.
That feels
like
huge.
A lot.
Yeah.
Like carnivorous plants are trying to take over.
We're worried about AI. We should be worried about carnivorous plants with little juice nubbies on the end.
Yeah. The only, I'm going to present this as good news now since we've had this conversation. About 25% of them are at risk of extinction because of humans. So,
okay. So they're coming, but they're coming weekly.
Yeah.
They're not
and we're eradicating
strong
them.
Okay, got it.
Or we're like building houses where they're supposed to live.
Oh.
There are 5 things that make a plant carnivorous. So they have to meet all 5 of these things to be considered carnivorous. They have to capture their prey in traps, kill that captured prey, digest the captured prey, absorb nutrients from the prey, and then use those nutrients to grow. That means that there are other species of plants that meet some of these requirements, but not all of them. So they are not considered fully carnivorous plants. So there are also another 300 proto-carnivorous plants that may trap and start to digest some insects, but they don't absorb the nutrients, so they aren't considered carnivorous.
So they're just murderers?
They're just murderers, or some of them have like symbiotic relationships with certain bugs, so they catch the bugs, and then the symbiotic bug comes and eats the bugs that they caught.
Can you do an episode on those wasps that like take over mines? Mm-hmm. Like zombie thing.
Yeah.
Can't remember
like
if they have their mine take over
or
if they take over the mine. But you should do an episode on those.
Oh yeah, it might be ants that
take over the wasps.
Or wasps that take over the ants. Yeah, one of the two. But yes, like I will.
Okay.
But yes.
Nice side.
There are also 5 different types of trapping mechanisms that these carnivorous plants might have. So there are pitfall traps, which is just like it sounds, where the bug or whatever falls into a pit or a flower, basically. There are fly paper traps, just like sticky traps. There are snap traps. that include fast leaf movements, kind of like the Venus flytrap. Bladder traps that actually suck the prey in.
Oh.
And lobster pot or eel traps that have like inward facing hairs that force the insect deeper and deeper into the plant. So some examples, and when this episode airs, I will share all of these pictures. So starting with pitfall traps, typically you would see these in pitcher plants. So
sure.
like like a water pitcher, not like pitcher on the wall. And these look exactly like they sound. They look like big pictures or
they're actually quite
tubes.
beautiful.
Yes, they're very beautiful. They're usually very bright colored because they're drawing the insects to them. These are the ones that can get so big that they may actually trap like mice or small birds. Lizards get caught in these, so these are the ones that will actually eat or digest like mammals and birds. There is also a species called the Nepenthes ampullaria that has evolved into a vegetarian. It actually now catches and digests leaves that fall into the pot of it.
Now, are these also the ones that can smell like rotting?
Some of them, yes.
Okay.
They'll either have like a very distinct sweet smell that attracts the animals to them, or like a very stinky smell, because obviously we know that flies love stinky things.
Yeah.
There is also in this pitcher plant species a Brachynia redacta, which is actually part of the pineapple family, and is just a large stalk that has a hole in it, and that bugs will fall into and get eaten. Flypaper traps are your sundews. So this is the one you were talking about with the big like tentacles.
Okay.
They're called sundews. They're alien looking plants. They've got like these crazy looking tentacles and stems.
She makes them in Isabella. I can't even sing the song.
It's gotta be Encanto.
Thank you. All I could think was Madrigal.
Right. That would have worked too. I would have known what you were talking about there too.
Is there one called honeydew? You said honeydew, right?
Sundew.
Sundew.
Yeah.
Okay, yeah.
So yes, they have like crazy looking tentacles. They ooze like a sticky fluid that catches the bug, and then that fluid actually starts to dissolve the bug, and that's how they digest it.
It's unfortunate that there's not a nicer way to
I know. As like I almost had to stop. They were talking about these plants digesting things, and I was getting uncomfortable. They're also in the flypaper trap section is the butterworts, and these actually look like very pretty succulents to me. But they will again ooze like a sticky really substance that traps the bug and then starts to digest them. Under the snap traps, we have the Venus flytrap that we've already talked about. Something important to know about these is you can buy these in a lot of like grocery stores now, but once that like mouth closes on these, that part of the plant dies.
Yes.
So like it's fine when it's catching a fly, and then it's going to eat that and digest it within its little trap, and then it'll die, but the plant got the rest of the nutrients. But if you're like setting it off purposely by poking at it or messing with it, it'll actually just kill off the heads of the plant, which is kind of sad.
And use energy to do so you are endangering your plant.
Yes. And going back to, I mentioned they should be watered with like distilled water or rainwater. And this is for all of these carnivorous plants because they have evolved to grow in such low nutrient areas. They actually get overwhelmed when you feed them with regular like tap water, because there are so like calcium and all different types of stuff in the water that it essentially gums up their system. So you have to use, like normally you would not want to water a plant with distilled water because it doesn't have some of the stuff that the plant needs. And you would never like fill a fish tank with distilled water because it has removed everything. And then also under snap traps, the other type is called a water wheel plant. And I had never heard of this. This is an aquatic plant and actually eats tiny fish, but it essentially looks like a wagon wheel, but it's got cool. Like little Venus flytrap type heads on the top. So they snap the little fish into them.
It makes me sad for the fish.
Right?
I have a spot for aquatic animals in my
all
heart.
of them. Then there are the bladder traps, and the only carnivorous plants under bladder traps are called bladderworts. And these actually have like tiny lung-looking sacs that have like a pressurized door system, kind of like a spaceship. So when something like triggers the plant, like when an insect or a fish tickles the little hairs of the plant, it causes this door to open, which then causes a vacuum that sucks whatever it is into these tiny little sacs where they are then digested.
Very uncomfortable with your verbiage this episode.
My bladder sacs digesting fish.
Should I just look up the lyrics and sing the whole song and that'll be the episode instead?
Yes.
I mean, I'm drawing a hot dog, so it's not like I'm winning at anything anyway, but...
This is beautiful. We are very cultured.
Chaotic.
And then the last type is the lobster pot or the eel traps. The only example I could find of this is called a carnivorous corkscrew plant. And it essentially has like a wide, inviting opening that starts to get smaller as you go into it. And then it has the tiny little hairs that direct these are usually like protozoans that are ingested. And they're funneled into this plant that then, once they pass the hairs, they can't get back out, kind of like a spike system. So they get stuck in there and can't get out. Just a couple of small facts. Carnivorous plants can be cultivated. They can be kept as landscape or house plants, but they generally don't thrive because we tend to overlove them. They have evolved in places that typically would not support plants, like bogs. So when we bring them into our house or we place them in our landscaping, we tend to overwater or, even just oversoil what they have.
See, and when you say that they thrive in, like you kind of say they thrive in that, but then we can overdo it, which is like, you'd think it growing in a bog, you could drown it.
Right.
But
think you could do anything to it because it can't be worse than living in a bog. But really, it's like, I want to go back to my bog.
I gotta go home.
They generally like high temperatures, high humidity, bog-like conditions. They can be killed by something as simple as tap water. You can't feed them things like hamburger. They have to eat,
Is that
insects.
also too nutritious then? Like too much stuff in it? Or?
That and the juices or the enzymes that they secrete to break things down don't necessarily break down hamburger meat. It would most likely just kind of rot in the plant. But then they also did say that some of these secretions that are produced are being studied for antifungal properties. So they are creating antifungal medications with these secretions. Which makes sense because if you are a plant that is ingesting live things, you must have something, there must be something that causes it not to rot before you can digest all of that or before you can use all of that.
Can I name this episode better than Sacs and Secretions?
Please. Please do. As I have mentioned, these plants are being studied a lot for their evolutionary properties because they have already evolved to grow in places where they normally wouldn't. But a lot of them have different functions or different things that they do that have evolved. Like pitcher plants obviously can die very easily if they get a whole bunch of water in them. Or if they're filled with water, they're not going to be able to get the nutrients that they need because how can the bugs and stuff get to the bottom of the plant where it needs to go? So some of them have actually evolved to create like little slits and openings that might let the water out but wouldn't let the bugs out. And some of them also have like false exits, or they're very see-through, so it'll make the bug think that it can get out the other side, only to find out that it was like a false opening or just a really like thin part of the plant that it could see through.
It makes me think of Spaceballs. And he goes, fooled you.
Yeah, that's these are like just plants that are tricking all of these bugs into
and all
dying painful deaths.
All the rest of us dumb humans to use these icky, gross, weird words to describe them.
Yep.
I'm having such a problem with it.
Well, then I'll just stop talking about them. That's actually all I have.
Great, perfect. Yeah, that makes me feel a little bit better.
Since you asked so nicely,
complain.
I guess I'll just leave out the rest of all this really cool stuff I know about carnivorous
I know
plants.
so much. I've spent so long doing this.
I know all the things about carnivorous plants.
I guess I'll stop drawing onions on my hot dog then.
Good, because onions are gross.
Very gross. I just needed more to make it look like a hot dog. So, I actually really liked that topic, by the way.
It was a lot of fun.
Good job, Connor.
It was either that or Carnegie. Who
Right.
was also
Right.
very interesting, but not quite as interesting as carnivorous plants, I'll be honest.
Right. I feel like he's going to be a lot harder.
Yeah.
He's going to be a lot more in depth. So, well, I have... I have something really stupid to talk about.
Is it more stupid than carnivorous plants?
So much more
Yay!
stupid. Like, carnivorous plants seem brilliant in comparison.
Thank you. I really needed that boost.
I got you covered. Okay, well, when I mathed, this episode is going to be right before Christmas, or potentially on Christmas. Can't remember exactly.
I do feel like Christmas is a Wednesday this year.
Yeah. So I'm sure it'll get tons of listens.
That's what I'm going to be doing on Christmas Day.
No, Carly, we got to wait to open presents. Dungeons and Dopamine has popped up. So because of that, it's my favorite holiday. I love to decorate for it. I love the atmosphere of the world. In case you didn't know, she started decorating weeks ago. And I love, one of my favorite things is coming home, or being home now, and turning off all the lights except for the Christmas lights. It's magical. Love it when it starts to snow and the Christmas lights are up. And I just always has good memories. I know that it's not that way for everybody, but it is for me. So it is my favorite holiday. And I wanted to talk about something that had to do with Christmas. But I can't just talk about Christmas or anything like that.
Yay, Christmas! The end.
Just to talk about the Christmases I've had through the years and my favorite presents.
And what I would like got this when year. I was 7. These are all the shirts I got when I was 17 out of the Delia's magazine.
My favorite is this one. I also got an inflatable couch. It was green. My cat popped it.
6 packs of stick-on star stickers.
I would
to go
actually
in my
be
room.
super impressed, though, if I had a list of everything I've gotten throughout my life.
Right?
But anyway, one thing I actually never got was in 1998. Do you know what?
I just remembered what this is about. I forgot you told me.
Shoot. I was going to say, do you remember what the hot toy was in 1998?
Tell me again.
Furbies.
Furbies.
So I remember watching, this is back when Black Friday wasn't starting the week before Thanksgiving.
When it was only the night of Black
It was
Friday.
when people would line up after Thanksgiving dinner in like pitch tents and then beat each other up to run into Walmart or Toys R Us or Target. I always like to think Target was above that, but I'm sure they weren't. And they would fist fight to get their kids a Furby. I want to know
or a Tickle Me Elmo.
Or Tickle Me Elmo,
a Cabbage Patch doll.
Yep. I did get a Cabbage Patch doll, but I think it was a few years after the big craze. I remember
you liking Cabbage Patch dolls.
I didn't like dolls a whole lot.
Yeah.
I was an animal kid. Like, I liked playing with my horses and stuff. When I was younger and people wanted Barbies, I wanted that horse that Barbie could ride that moved all by itself, and I got it. And my cat used to attack it and knock it down.
Dusty or Poppy?
Poppy, of course. So I vaguely remember thinking, oh, Furbies, those are okay. But I didn't want my mom to go fist fight some other suburban mother for one.
You're no fun.
I know, right? That was super lame. And we were a little out of the Tickle Me Elmo craze range age thing. So, if somehow you have never heard of a Furby, which I find really weird.
Right?
Not you, but just that you haven't heard of them. They are kind of a gremlin owl hybrid.
That is a good way to explain them.
They're probably like 9 to 12 inches tall. I think they can range, and depending on the shape and ears and stuff like that. They talk. Mm-hmm. One thing I learned that I did not know is that they speak Furbish, but that as you play with them, they're supposed to learn more English. So they're supposed to stop talking their nonsensical Furbish and do more English. Yeah,
I'm not
interesting,
sure
right?
mine ever got that smart. Mine was probably like a knockoff.
Right. It got knocked to the floor in the fist fight with... The Tiger Electronics put them out. I think they're owned by Hasbro now. They've made several comebacks where they kind of readjust what they look like and resend them out into the world. My kid has one. She got one for Christmas last year.
I was gonna say, I feel like they're supposed to be big again this year too.
Yeah, and they're actually, obviously, with the technological advances since 1998, they're way cooler now. You can do a lot of stuff with them. We played with our Furby for a long time to experiment with all the stuff it can do. So I want to...
I'm a little disappointed you don't have it up here for us to test out.
Right? I should have. I didn't even think about it. She gets annoyed with it because it talks too much. Which, I mean, like, so does she, but whatever.
It's an only child problem. She's like, no, I need you to listen to me.
Exactly.
I'm done listening to you.
There's a part of me that wishes she had just heard that, because she would have burst in and been like, I heard you. So, Tiger Electronics, their big claim was that, along with learning more English as you interacted with it, it would get more interactive with you the more you played with it. There's a little bit of actual technical stuff I want to tell you about, but first, I'm sure you're kind of like, why are you talking about this? This is weird.
There must be a creepy component.
Just you wait. Furbies have a, what do I want to say? They have a history. So, Furbies are a little scary. They look a little weird. And in 1998, we didn't exactly have the technological advances. Again, I've used that already, but nowadays it wouldn't be surprising to have a very smart toy that could learn and talk with you and interact with you. And I mean, even Tickle Me Elmo was kind of smart,
right?
Comparatively, yeah. Furbies were a little bit surprising in that they could seemingly learn and things like that. So I remember many stories about Furbies after they came out and after kids played with them for a week or two. You started to hear these horror stories.
Yep.
You started to hear about how, possessed Furbies were, etc., etc., etc. I went to look, and unfortunately, it seems like people have all realized that we were just dumb children who thought our toys were alive. Thank you, Toy Story. But I did still want to share some of these. It was supposed to be creepy. It kind of ended up being funny.
That's fair.
And then the creepiest story I want to tell you at the very end. And then I have that whole fun thing that I love doing where I actually have the answer.
Yay.
Which takes it the Bermuda Triangle can't be possessed by demons because insurance companies wouldn't fly over it. Yeah.
Logic.
Stupid.
Why do we gotta be so smart?
Ruins everything. So anyway.
Did you have a Furby?
No.
I didn't think so.
No,
Jody
I never
and I
had
had
one.
Furbies.
They were so expensive that year unless you went and fist fought for them. And then in the years after, I just wasn't. I think I heard from all the kids who got them that they played with them for a second. And then
Jody and I had them.
Yeah.
You probably got to play with it then, and then we both. I mean, because Jody was also very much into the scary stuff.
Yes.
So I am sure that within 20 minutes of us finding that out, I was out.
Yeah.
It's like, cool, I'm just gonna leave this thing in the closet now.
So I have Reddit stories, because Reddit is where you go for these kinds of things.
Yep.
There was actually an entire feed of I want to hear your horrifying Furby stories.
Oh, good.
So I'm going to read you a couple of these, and then I want to tell you my final story, and then I want to ruin it. So here we go.
Just like always.
Please if you hear your story, thank you for sharing it with us. And please just tag yourself and let us know that we use your story. And thanks for putting it on the internet.
Yeah.
I'm sure you got, these were almost all 12 years ago, so I'm sure you got your internet points then. This person said, I have been waiting my whole life for this. This is actually one of my favorite stories. In elementary school, I was invited to a sleepover at my friend Sally's for her birthday. There were quite a few girls going, and we were told everyone was going to sleep in the family room. Somehow, I scored the couch. Now, Sally loved Furbies, and above the couch was a shelf dedicated to them. She must have really loved them if her parents let her put them in the living room.
Her parents were like, you know what? Let's dedicate this whole shelf in the living
Right.
room to Furbies. Let's buy multiple Furbies.
Many Furbies.
And then put them all right here.
There were a ton of Furbies in different shapes, sizes, and colors on that shelf. So the party is okay. Everyone gets ready for bed, and I get comfortable on the couch. Fast forward a few hours, everyone is dead asleep. I, myself, am in a nice deep sleep, when suddenly the shelf breaks.
What?
The wooden part falling behind the couch, while the Furbies rain down on my sleeping form.
No.
Activated by whatever TF activated Furbies, movement or sound or whatever, they came alive.
Oh my goodness.
I am awoken by a horde of Furbies all over me, talking and moving and looking at me.
Oh no.
I'm sorry for laughing. She did eventually say, I eventually recovered from that night, but I had nightmares for years after.
I would have too. That's awful. That's not what I was expecting.
No,
Like,
no.
at the most, maybe like one of them turns on in the middle of the night and says
Right.
something creepy, but not the shelf breaks and you're woken up by like screaming.
Ooh-ba-doo.
Hello.
Feed me.
I would have died.
That would have added a whole nother level of creepy.
Right?
Then my friend died on the couch.
Killed by Furbies. That's how all the stories start.
All right. So this person says, apparently, if you drop a Furby from high enough, it makes a terrifying screeching sound until you reset the thing. I did not know this before I accidentally pushed it off my bed. The thing started, what 8-year-old me thought, screaming out in pain. So I started screaming and crying and thinking I killed him.
I didn't know they did that either. Apparently, I never
not a
did
clue.
that.
And I will tell you, I don't know if I have many stories of them, but I read many stories that make that feel very true to me.
Oh no.
I had a Furby that I loved for a few months. Then I turned her off and set her high in my closet. I didn't want to give her away. She sat there, in view, with her eyes closed for probably 4 years. One day I opened my closet door. Her eyes are open. She blinks at me.
Oh no.
Then I got rid of her.
Yep. Same. Would have done the same.
Absolutely.
And then she blinked at me. Nope.
So, my sister and I both received them for Christmas, though we didn't ask for them. A few weeks later, we were playing Barbies in our room when the two Furbies started talking for no reason. From that moment, we knew that they were evil, or at least possessed by tiny demons, so we decided to throw them away. We did. They showed up in our room the next morning on our dresser. Scared us even more. So we decided to destroy them with heat. Our mom had a Showtime rotisserie oven she bought off TV. We put our Furbies in it and tried to roast them. She saw it, took them out, and placed them on top. She forgot to turn off the rotisserie, and the lower half of them melted into this nasty plastic fur and wire-mounted toy. My dad came home from work and after getting ticked at us, went into the garage, scraped them off with a paint scraper, and put them back in our room on our dresser. He told us we better not throw them away. My sister and I still have melted Furbies in our old room on the shelf of our closet.
You will appreciate this.
So I can only assume that their parents found them in the trash and were like, these are brand new.
They're not getting rid of these.
Grandma paid $95 each and had to replace 2 of her teeth after that fight.
Right. I forgot that they were supposed to be able to talk to each other too. Like, if you
I
had
think they got
ones,
crazy if you had,
they would like tell jokes to each other and like laugh and stuff.
I bought one, and when someone bumped it off the table after we set it up again, it only spoke in the demonic, backwards English-sounding devil voice. It also functioned without batteries in the middle of the night.
Oh no.
Horrifying. This person said, mine did this too. They're replying to the one I just read. And in addition to demon tongues, it would make that awful screeching noise. It wouldn't stop, so we took out the batteries and put it in my closet. Later that night, it started screeching, and it was terrifying. There are a lot of reports of Furbies working without batteries. There must have been some sort of a storage-y type backup battery inside of it that got powered up by the AA's that you had to put in it, and then
could sit in.
Yeah. Until something triggered it. This is my theory. I have no idea if that's right or not, but
I just remember, like, the only creepy thing I remember, except that we tried to scare ourselves.
Of course.
That's what Jody and I did.
Yeah.
Was when their batteries would get low.
Yes.
And then you'd be playing with your Furby like normal, and it'd be all happy, and then all of a sudden it would be like.
I just watched a person who they have a singing Elsa Christmas ornament and its batteries are dying and they played it and she sounded horrifying. Elsa's coming for you. Let it go.
Let it go.
I should play it. Okay, not horrifying in the conventional sense, but really bad memory for me. I absolutely hate Furbies. I had one when I was younger, but rarely played with it. It just sat on my basement shelf collecting dust. One night I was dreaming that my Furby was bawling hysterically. When I asked it what was wrong, I woke up. It was probably 2 or 3 in the morning, and I noticed that all of the lights in my house were on, and I could still hear the crying. My mom was in her room, crying while packing a suitcase. She had just received a phone call that her mother, who lived in Italy, had passed away. That is all I think about whenever I see a Furby. That would be so scarring for a child. What's wrong? Then you can still hear it and you're like, I think I might die soon. This is awful.
Furby is obviously murdering my mother right now.
So yeah, I would have been terrified.
Oh my goodness.
This one's funny. It's kind of creepy. Nothing terrifying, but my sister and I held our Furby up to a picture of tiger cubs to show it to him. And then it says, yeah, I don't know, we were kids. He promptly said with excitement, kitty! We could never get him to replicate that experience or even say that word again after that.
That would be crazy.
There's one where her Furby woke up in the middle of the night and years after they got them and said, feed me. But it was a like batteries dying one that you were just talking about.
They just up in a closet somewhere, and then all of a sudden in the middle of the night you hear feed me. Connor was gone for like 2 nights in a row sometime this year, and he has like a Raphael Ninja Turtle toy.
Good
that
job,
is
Connor.
super sensitive to.
It cries.
You know how Raph is. It's super sensitive to movement, and it talks. And it must have got like caught just a certain way to like where it was hanging. So every once in a while, it would just start talking. I freaked out for like a full day trying to like. I would hear it and I'd be like, "What? Did I just hear that? No, I must not have heard that.
In the house? Yeah, there is. It's a Ninja
Raphael
Turtle.
upstairs yelling like, "Cowabunga!"
I mean, if someone's got to be in your house, at least Tim.
It could be
You're
worse.
probably safe. So she woke up to it saying, "Feed me," really slow, really low. And she said, I screamed. I ran into my parents' room and woke them up. Had them come into my room to get the monster array. They go digging around the room and we hear it again. It said it again. "Feed me." Finally, my dad pulls out the half-dead Furby from inside the toy box. And he goes and smashes it with a hammer in the garage.
Zach as a parent. I'm protecting you from this.
There are an astounding number of people who smashed their Furbies or whose parents smashed their Furbies with a hammer. I'm shook by how many people. This is the last one, and then I'm going to tell my story that I've heard, and unfortunately ruin everything. To begin, I never had a Furby. I thought they were stupid. Okay, good for you. Anyway, my friend had one. Was she stupid too? I'm sorry. This is terrible.
Jessica's smack talking a narrator from 12 years ago.
A deleted Reddit user from 12 years ago. She liked it and played with it for a few weeks, and then she went to the lake with her family and accidentally dropped it in the lake. They recovered it, but all of the electrical bits were dead. She took it home, threw it in the closet, and forgot about it. Life goes on. Fast forward about 2 months or so, I come over to hang out. Suddenly I ask, "Hey, what happened to your Furby?" She goes into the story, then ends it with, "But I don't really miss it." Like clockwork, we hear, "Furby don't need you anymore. Come from the closet."
What?
And then they say bricks were shat.
Fair. Same.
There's a couple more stories. A lot of dropping them from high heights. A lot of feeling like they moved. Or things they say that, people said they weren't actually programmed to say. A lot of that kind of stuff. Most of it really, truly written in the vein of, I was a little kid, I was dumb, my mom probably moved it, I probably misheard it, I was half asleep, all of that kind of stuff.
I actually dreamt it.
Yeah, exactly. But one thing that I thought was kind of interesting is that a story I heard, this girl's uncle worked for the government, and she got a Furby for Christmas. He visited a few weeks after Christmas, and when he walked in and she said, "Look what I got," he said, "Is that a Furby? Get rid of it right now. Get it out of the house." And he never explained himself. And I always thought that was a super creepy story.
Right?
That's terrifying. What do you mean? He told you. And this was.
What did he know?
Exactly. This was the 90s. So it was when they first came out. Because unfortunately, I researched them yesterday. I found out that. Hey, what happened?
It's been deleted.
Found out that Dungeons and Dopamine is no longer on air. Please return to your home and lock the doors.
That would be so great.
Oh, it would be awful. We should end one of our episodes that way.
Right?
No, we shouldn't. That's terrifying. It was a rumor at one point that you could teach your Furby words.
Mm-hmm.
The government, the NSA, banned them from family homes for people who worked at the NSA or with government like NASA, or of course I can't think of anything off the top of my head. Anywhere where they would have secrets of some sort that they were trying to protect government-wise. You were not allowed to have one. You were not allowed to have one in your family because if you said something around them, they could learn it. And where was that information going?
China.
Yeah, of course.
Just like TikTok.
But the guy who made Furbies, the two guys who made them were like, it's not true. Like, they can't even understand words. To them, it kind of resounds as a beeping noise. They just know that you spoke. Everything that it learns to say is programmed in it.
It just makes it seem like it's learning it.
And a lot of kids would see the commercials or their friends playing with them and saying things to the Furby that then the Furby would repeat. But of course they did. They were being taught by the commercials and the instruction booklets and stuff to do that. So they were saying things that they were teaching it, but not.
Because they were taught to teach it certain things.
Exactly.
Yeah.
And so it was the guy was like, no, this is ridiculous. If they would have just asked me, I could have told them and shown them the programming and the design behind it. And it was 1998. It wasn't anything fancy. It was like an infrared sensor in its head that told it that it was bright out, and it would say, "Ooh, big sun" or whatever. So
pretty sure those are the Teletubbies, not the Furbies.
Their son was a big baby face. Okay,
that's true.
They don't know anything.
They don't know anything.
They're stupid. I don't know. I mean, I was actually a little let down by the way my topic turned out. You know, we have our beautiful ones like the Winchester Mansion that they turn out so mwah.
Like there's a surprise during the research. Like,
and then
you didn't find that they were actually used for like government conspiracies.
No, and it was immediate. Like that was my favorite creepy story. It has creeped me out since I heard it. Like, why? What was it? Like the question of why would he say that was always...
He must have known something.
Yes, exactly. Why? What is up? And then I find out that it's because he was probably a part of this. And then after he realized it and the ban was lifted, he probably just didn't go back to his nieces and be like, hey, you can have
remember when I got you super scared of your Furby?
That Furby
was silly.
Your mom got her teeth knocked out for it? Yeah, you can have it back if you want it.
They're not that bad.
Oh, I did also hear so many stories of people skinning them and burning them.
Because they thought they were the devil. I wonder, do you know, did it come up in your research? Like, was there like a satanic panic movement over the Furbies?
No. It was just, it seems to have just been kids scaring themselves.
Right.
I mean, it
like
was creepy. I think the technology, not that it was raging amazing or anything. It wasn't.
But it was new for the time.
New. It was fancier than
Impressive.
what we had. I mean, we had, Neopets at that point? No.
Well, Tamagotchis.
Tamagotchis, yes. Thank you for understanding me.
And they, like, you had to take care of them, but they didn't do anything
and
you weren't expecting.
Yeah, and now if, like, my kid looked at them, she'd be like, what is this?
I can do
What
this.
are these blobs of pixels on this screen? I could go play my Switch and it looks amazing.
Right.
So,
it's interesting.
I truly think that technology had just, like, surprised us as kids. I'm sure they had more technological advances in other cars and things like that, but we were kids, so we didn't equate it
and
to
like
it.
you mentioned about the commercials, like the commercials, the marketing was set up for us to believe that these were intelligent
yes.
and working with each other and
friends. They were supposed to be our
learn.
friends. Yeah. And then they were weird looking. Mm-hmm. They do sort of resemble the gremlins from the movie, the 1980s movie Gremlin.
Except they've got little bird beaks.
Yeah. You can stick your finger in their mouth. Mm-hmm. Yum. For not having one, I sure know a lot of the phrases.
I recently was disturbed about a childhood toy, which I honestly should have realized this much earlier, but for some reason, somebody brought up the Baby Alive dolls.
Yeah.
And I had the one, like, you had to feed it. You had to mix up, like, baby food and then, like, feed her, and she would, like, wet her diaper and stuff. How moldy
are the inside
of those toys?
Yeah.
Like, I stopped letting Connor have, like, regular bath toys when he was, like, a year old because I found one moldy one. And I was like, these are just, like, germ mold factories. And then somebody brought it up on Reddit the other day, like, these Baby Alive dolls. And I was like, oh my goodness. That thing must have been, like, probably was poisoning us.
Oh, I'm sure. The only thing I could think to redeem it is if something in that food mix was a cleanser of some sort.
Right,
but
like
I
made out of vinegar, but no, I'm sure it was just like sugar, like colored sugar water.
They still
or something.
have them. I wonder, unless it's just very literally a tube, but even that would get gross, right? Because it couldn't dry.
Right.
That's very interesting.
Yeah, gross.
I want to like search that now.
I'll buy Carly one for Christmas.
In a couple of years, we can cut it open while we're recording and find out what
it'll
it's
be
like
fun.
inside. Please don't buy her a doll for Christmas.
No.
There's so many dolls.
It would be, no.
Please don't buy her a flower.
Okay.
A grass.
I got you this piece of grass. Stitch is huge all of a sudden.
There is a live action Stitch movie coming out.
Okay.
Stitch has been a big one for little kids for, I feel like, a long time.
Well, it came out when we were teenagers.
Yeah. And I don't feel like it was as big then. Also, that movie, I hate that movie.
The Neighbor Kid, so it came out when, like, the kids I babysat were of age.
Gotcha.
So it was huge for them.
For
like,
them,
I remember
we just
them
totally
watching it a lot.
missed it.
We were just right above that age level.
Yeah. That movie now makes me kind of irate. Not Stitch, she's fine. Mm-hmm. And I remember the TV show, the cartoon show. Mm-hmm. And that was fine. But Lilo, as a child,
is a terror.
She's a horrible child.
Mm-hmm.
Her sister is 18 and trying to like survive and take care of her and do good by her.
And Lilo
she's
is just
horrible.
Screwing shit up all the time.
She's gonna get taken away from her, and she really deserves it.
Yeah.
She deserves to be with parents who are kind of mean to her. It's not true. I just mean strict people. Who,
right.
Like, tell her, no, you can't go swimming by yourself in the ocean.
Stop biting other children.
Yeah, don't beat up that little redhead. I know she's a brat,
school,
but
like,
still.
Yeah. I agree. I mean, it's the same way I feel about Ariel nowadays. Like,
right.
No, go back to school.
I'm not a child anymore. Yeah,
yes,
you are.
Go put some clothes on.
Wear a cardigan.
He's just a guy. There will be other guys.
So many of them.
Don't give
you
your
saw
voice
for
up
4
for
minutes.
a boy.
He doesn't even have a tail. I'm sorry,
what are you gonna do with him?
The most attractive thing about like the Little Mermaid story is being able to be a mermaid,
right?
Not being
not
a
get
human.
Legs and be a human.
Blech.
Who can't even speak.
You can talk to fish. As a mermaid, you can talk to fish
and live in the water in an underground an underwater palace.
I'm not a little girl anymore. Yes, you are. Sit down.
You're not even old enough to get married.
You brush your hair with a fork.
A thingamabob. Excuse me.
I have 20. Or maybe it's plenty. But who cares? No big deal. I used to sing that song to Carly when she was having hysterics. And she calmed down every time.
Oh, that's amazing.
That one and You'll Be My Heart from Tarzan, but I usually couldn't sing that one to her without bawling. Still can't sing that one to her without bawling. My child. Okay. There is a song called Slow Down. It's by Nicole Nordeman. Mm-hmm. It is literally about her children growing and her telling them, this is amazing, but please slow down. She plays that sometimes when she wants me to just weep. She'll just put it on the TV.
Hey, Mom, how you feeling today?
I'm doing great. Click. Not for long.
Can you hear what's on the TV right now?
I'm like, why are you doing this to me? She just smiles. She's so proud of herself.
Just love making you bawl.
What have I done?
Well,
that'll be another episode. I can tell you exactly how it happened.
Next week, Jessica tells us how Carly learned to be sarcastic by age 4.
The best part is she used to get really mad if we were sarcastic or like laughing at her, and now she thrives on it. And she's got him back. Like, I zing her and she gets me back, and I'm like,
who's teaching you these things?
Exactly.
You gotta stop spending so much time with Nana and Papa.
That's clearly the problem. Your father is a terrible influence on you. Oh, man. I'm a great mom.
You are a great mom.
And this is Dungeons and Dopamine Podcast.
And you can listen to us anywhere you stream podcasts. And also on YouTube.
And with your mom.
Yeah.
You're a great mom. Please support us on Patreon.
Please.
www.patreon.com/dungeonsdopamine.
If you'd like to say anything awesome to us, you can find us on Facebook, TikTok, Twitter, Insta, and Reddit.
Or say something mean. Sometimes rage bait.
Only on Reddit. It's the only place you can say mean things.
You have to treat it like you're talking to a Furby. You can reach out to us on those social medias by saying something kind or making a viral comment.
That would be okay.
And or at dungeonsdopamine@yahoo.com. You have to email us there, though. You can't just talk to us there.
You can try. But we would prefer it if you actually sent the email.
Maybe that's what's been going wrong this whole time.
Don't be rude on that one either, because I might cry.
Sure.
That feels too personal.
He's personally taking the time to email us something sassy and mean.
And it can't go viral then, because only we can see it.
Yeah.
Dungeons and Dopamine is edited and published by Argyle Pigeon Productions. That was good. Good job.
All right. We love you.
We love you.
Bye.
Okay, bye.